Boom!
What a mark.
I don't know why I did that. I don't know.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Drinking a goddamn Sierra Nevada torpedo. Jesus Christ. What a long week. What a long day. But I am glad to be here with both of you for this episode of the Accidental Wrestling Fan. Today, we told ourselves that we were going to be positive, but we have to maybe not be so positive, at least for a little bit, because of this wild video. I don't know if you want to call it wild. Believe what you want to believe, I guess. Like the idea of what Drake, how do you say his last name? Wuertz?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds right.
So he and some other people in WWE's roster, their staff, a lot of them you may have seen on their social media feeds about them fighting sex trafficking and making sure that the children in our communities are protected, which is a great message. I agree that it is a great message.
Oh, yeah.
You could see people like I think Nia Jax, I think Bobby Fish has posted about this sort of thing, except that the issue is that I forget what group that they support has heavy ties to QAnon, I believe.
Yeah, right.
And it's starting to become more and more apparent that Drake kind of leans into that sort of ideology. And he called into a Seminole County, was it like a council meeting, something like that?
From my understanding, yes. Yeah, that's what it was.
And he started weeping during the call. I mean, I could play it. It's like public domain. We won't get a copyright strike for
Yeah,
this.
no, we want to get a copyright on that. Yeah.
But it's a wild video.
Someone like because I mean, I think he goes on for a while, but someone like clipped it for 2 minutes, which yeah, you just got to listen to it to hear it.
This was right before NXT went on, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
people were saying you could, if it looked like he had tears in his eyes during whatever match he was reffing, that this is why. I've yet to see the video, to be honest.
Okay, let me look at, because I know David Bixenspan, everyone calls him Bix. He posted the video on his Twitter account. So I'm gonna go to his Twitter real quick.
Did he was it him? Was he the one who replied like, "Hey, I shared a locker with this guy, and I don't even." He's like, I this is a totally different guy than what I remember.
Let's see here. I'm gonna go to his media section on his Twitter page, and of course, it wants me to log in.
Oh, log in for it. Yeah, right. Like, oh, hey, log in to see all this stuff.
So I gotta switch my account real quick. This is making for a great podcast.
Yeah.
So we weren't expecting to talk about this. Before we started recording, we were gonna just do our whole be positive, talk about positive things, and
well, fill me in on this guy. He was a wrestler before he became the ref, like the main ref, I guess, on NXT. Because I don't know too much about him as far as his wrestling career.
So he went by Drake Younger, and he was a big time deathmatch wrestler.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was one of the most popular deathmatch wrestlers. A genuinely like very respected, well-loved guy. Like people really liked Drake, and I was a fan of him back in the day. I loved him. Like he seemed like a cool ass dude. If you find a video on YouTube of him, it's like him, John Moxley, I think maybe Eddie Kingston before a CZW show, just sitting around, dicking around. It's when John Moxley does Point Break, but as Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He just seemed like a really lovable guy. And since this video's come out, a few wrestlers have come out and said it's really weird how much he's changed. And I know he had some issues with I think drugs or substance abuse, and when he rehabilitated himself and got clean and sober, he got really great shape. And then that's when he ended up getting the refereeing gig. Things seem to have taken a hard left for him, or I guess in this case, a hard right. But yeah, I get the sense for a lot of people that it's kind of jarring. I mean, not if you've been close to him over the last 10 years or so, maybe not so jarring. But I mean, for me, it's really jarring to see this guy be this, somewhat vulgar deathmatch wrestler, but very affable. And yeah, so I've got the video, and I'm gonna play it for everyone real quick. I have to turn it down a little bit. Let's see, get back to Zoom.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people before knowing about the deathmatch stuff, like when he became a ref for NXT, I know a lot of people are like, whoa, what? He's a ref now? Oh, that's awesome. And like Damon was saying, he was changing his life around with a lot of stuff. And I thought everyone was still kind of like on his, I want to say on his good side, but I never heard anything controversial from him until today, actually. So kind of crazy that this all happened.
Yeah, and again, he is wearing his NXT.
Oh, his NXT. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
recognize that at first.
yeah. So people thought he was backstage, but that would be kind of wild if it was backstage, because you'll hear people applauding in the video. But I'm going to play it now for everyone.
Make no mistake, if you don't end this nonsense and start trusting your constituents to take personal responsibility by making their own informed decisions, you will not get reelected. Right. There will be a recruit of freedom-loving Republicans that will replace you. Commissioner DeLaury, I would like to turn my attention to you, sir. You've been a strong advocate for victims of human trafficking through your work with the Lifeboat Project. I commend you for doing so, sir. Continuing this mask mandate only puts vulnerable children at risk of being preyed upon by traffickers and predators. Nonverbal cues are often a first sign for distress in identifying potential victims of human trafficking. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Forcing and normalizing face coverings only makes it easier for sex traffickers to target kids in our community. Protect Seminole County children, Commissioner DeLaury. And I would like to close with the 30 seconds that I have by calling for the immediate resignation of Emergency Manager Alan Harris. He is an awful leader. He is not an elected official. He has no business playing the role of a dictator to the people of Seminole County. God bless you all. God bless the great free state of Florida.
So it's
very passionate.
very passionate indeed. He kind of sounds like a Metal Gear Solid villain at the end there, where he says, God bless the free state of Florida.
Yeah. No, I think that's a I forget, I think there's a term in psychology or something like that where you basically, I don't want to say he exaggerates it, but you take something and you kind of exaggerate the claim on it. So even though there is an idea of a problem with wearing a face mask for children, especially when data has come out that children can end up kind of going in, I don't want to say a catatonic state, but in almost a state of surprise or shock that they don't know what's going on. So they don't have any of these commands and usually these facial commands. But then again, like how good are people at reading stuff like that to begin with? I mean, all of those situations that happen, whether, you hear in your neighborhood a kid crying or whatnot. I mean, as a parent, your ears perk up and you look and you check to see if everything's okay. But for the most part, you kind of understand, all right, well, you can almost, distinguish cries and stuff too, like, oh, okay, that's a the kid's tired cry, that's a something he can't he doesn't know how to express his emotions, stuff like that. But I mean, obviously are situations too with human trafficking, and that's not the joke, and it's not like we're joking about that situation. But I think what ends up happening, just like with a lot of other stuff, is people get very exaggerated on these things, and so they want to clue in, and then they pick and they cherry pick data to fit their narrative. And so that's possibly what's happening here. Like that's one thing that I think a lot of us can get behind, right? Like no one wants human trafficking besides pieces of shit. So that's something that you're like, oh yeah, but then you take it and you're putting it into this. Oh, human trafficking occurs and it's increased because of wearing a mask, which I highly doubt. I could be wrong. I'm not going to say that I'm right here, but I don't think the statistics in trafficking have increased due to face coverings. But I mean, then again, you've also heard that shoplifting has occurred with face masks during this time period too. So I can see how people can take some of those correlations, put them together, misrepresent the data, and then come up with this idea of, oh, hey, because of this, we should take off the face masks or something. And I don't know if that's exactly what he was arguing, if he was saying, make it a choice to wear a face mask or not. But I mean, even if you're saying that, then like, what's to stop some trafficker to put a face mask on a kid if the kid's still feeling vulnerable in those situations, not knowing what's going on? uh what do you do in something like that? So like on the one hand, I can understand and I appreciate his emotion towards wanting to stop something so serious, but then applying it in such a weird way. And I don't know that position of that person that he's speaking of, calling a dictator, but nowadays when everyone's throwing around the word dictator, it's usually not what it truly means. So it definitely, he's definitely emotional. Personally, you would not catch me wearing my business attire when I'm going on my own political statements or political beliefs, because, well, people can read that as an endorsement from the company. And if everyone knows anything, corporations don't like stuff like that. So you might get in trouble for in the NXT brand.
The QAnon movement is and was started and based around, I believe, like human trafficking. I think that was their big thing.
Yeah, right. That was like one of the big points of it, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
I dabbled in. I'm not a QAnon guy, but I did, listen to. There was this thing on YouTube. There used to be a channel called X22 Report. It's been taken off with the whole QAnon and Trump thing, but it would be a guy who would decipher QAnon's whatever posts he would make, and kind of decipher the codes of it and try to turn it around into language that a normal person can understand. It's just it's a weird thing, but I could see how someone could easily be, kind of brainwashed by the movement, especially, with everything going on in today's world. I can see where someone, and he sounds like he's just super like QAnon guy, and he's just full-fledged into it, and he believes everything about it. That's what I'm kind of taking away from it.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. I think, getting back to what I said, that there is something inherently there. I know when that hashtag came out, like everyone was like, yeah, of course, protect the children. But
Yeah,
then when you looked into it further, you're just like, oh, this is getting even like, we're getting into conspiracy theory here. Like this isn't just like something that everyone can get behind. I mean, for instance, I know like Kevin Smith has had a nonprofit organization to fight human trafficking for quite some time. And I know, that's had its popularity behind it too. But then, yeah, like you were saying, I know that people started getting big onto QAnon because of that. And then all this other stuff started to pile out. And, now we're even getting documentaries and whatnot, like Vice and HBO, about QAnon and what's going on with all that and who's really behind it and all that stuff. But yeah, it can be a slippery slope with those sorts of things, that you you see or you investigate, and then whatever fits your own narrative, like it just makes sense to you. You're like, oh my God, yeah, of course.
At the same thing, it's all the same conspiracy shit. I mean, lizard people and fucking, you know, the higher ups in politics are, you know,
Yeah,
getting with children
Illuminati
on
and
secret islands, which I don't know, kind of came out as true.
Oh
But,
yeah, the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
but
Yeah, man.
but I mean, it's nothing new to me. I've been hearing this shit for fucking, 15 years.
Yeah,
You
right.
go back to like Alex Jones and all that
Yeah.
shit. But I think with, the Trump getting into office, and I don't know, something switched and shifted towards this, I don't know, the QAnon thing. And it took a lot of people. I think there is a QAnon documentary about these guys, these people that really, really take it seriously, and just it's wild. And I think this Drake guy is one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised in those situations, because you can get really passionate about something, and then all of a sudden, you got to take a step back. You're like, holy shit, where did that lead me to?
Yeah, a lot of what he's saying, some of it is, you know, rooted somewhat in a good place. Like, yes, of course, everyone agrees with protecting children from human trafficking, sex traffickers, that sort of thing. I 100% can agree with that. You will get no argument from me. But, you know, like we said, like John said, it's definitely um, taking a good message and maybe not necessarily having.
Turning it political,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
because that's what it is.
Yeah, because
yeah.
that's not supposed to be a political message, right?
No,
Like
that's what it
that's
is.
everyone agrees on that.
It's the right believes in, we have to save the children, but they'll call the left the evil ones that are hurting the children. It's
Yeah.
politicized,
Yeah.
and that's what it is with with Trump being president. That's what it turned into. And everyone should be able to agree that sex trafficking children is a horrible fucking thing and should
Mhm.
not happen. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be left, right, politicized. But that's kind of what the QAnon movement to me is.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I want to say last thing on this, and to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. John, you said that Drake was taking these statistics and skewing them and using them to his own benefit. So is it safe to say that the numbers do lie?
I'm sorry, but yeah, nowadays, man, holy shit. I think it might be Benjamin Disraeli, old British Prime Minister, saying, there's lies, damned lies, and statisticians. And it's just basically like, yeah, man, and anyone can take whatever stats and kind of make something of them themselves. So yeah, if only we had Scott Steiner on.
If only we had Scott Steiner on. I would love to have him on the show. If anyone's got any connections to Scott or Rick Steiner, please let us know. Email us at accidentalwrestlingfan@gmail.com or get at us on social media at TA Wrestling Fan on pretty much every social media platform there is. I think we're on Black Planet, I think. I got us on there.
What's Black Planet? That's new to me.
Black Planet is old school, man. Like Black Planet was just like MySpace, but for like black college kids.
Oh,
You
Really?
you
I
you
had
may
no clue.
you may have heard I think Kanye West mention it on College Dropout, which is crazy because College Dropout is like almost
Oh my
20 years
God.
old now.
Oh my God.
How fucking weird is
Wow.
that?
Yeah.
College Dropout will be 20 years old next year.
That is crazy.
What the
That is
fuck?
crazy, man.
Today's podcast, we want to lighten the mood. We want to talk about things that are positive, but the caveat is that we have to talk positive about people that we may not have talked positive about, whether it's in personal conversations with each other, on this podcast over the last damn near 7 years. So, uh, with as much time permitting, we will name off a couple of wrestlers, and then each of us will just go off and just say good things about them. So you guys ready to do this?
This is a fun one. This is a good one. This is a I gotta make sure that I say everything nice and I don't even say well, but
yeah.
I mean, we already know
that's gonna be hard to not say well, but
I was gonna say
try.
we should keep track of every time we say a well but or like
take a drink.
Yeah, we're contrarian and say eh. So the first person I want to bring up is Kenny Omega.
Who wants to go first?
Go for it.
I feel like you might think that this is hard because of the comments we've made about AEW over the last weeks, months, whatever. But this one to me is kind of a soft one. Like, it's pretty easy to say good things about Kenny Omega. Fantastic in-ring competitor, great at structuring a match and building a match to its peak, at least in Japan anyway. Although I feel like, is that a negative comment? I feel like
that's like a backhanded compliment, right? Like, hey, yeah, you do a great match, at least in Japan.
But I do think he is a good wrestler. I think that he's got a great move set, and I like his theme song. His theme song is very, very cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit, this is actually harder than I expected.
I mean, yeah, everything you said. Yeah, he's a good wrestler. He's a good wrestler. As far as like modern wrestling goes, in today's world, he's one of those guys who's really looked up to, I would say. Like say you got a guy or a girl coming up in the wrestling business who's, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, they're training. I think they might look up to a guy like Kenny Omega. Yeah. But yeah, he's a good wrestler.
He's definitely I mean, he's one of those guys. Yeah, he's brought non-wrestling fans into wrestling to make the wrestling
that's
fans.
Maybe what I was trying to say.
So yeah, definitely. I know he is. Daniel Bryan just recently said that like for Kenny, there is no evolution to him. Like, he mentioned that, well, you can see like with guys like the Young Bucks who, kind of pay homage and then made it their own thing to wrestlers of the past. He's like, Kenny's just kind of a different breed. He's his own animal. And I think that's a compliment. Kenny's done stuff that has kept his name in the spotlight for years and probably still for years to come. So I definitely do. The guy is a good wrestler. You can't take that away from him, whether or not you like what he's doing now.
I mean, you can maybe even say he put New Japan on the map for American audience, the American audience, kind of, in a way.
Yeah, he definitely was another influence there, right? I think he's one of the reasons why people went, oh, hey, what are all these American dudes doing in New Japan? What's this all about? And he definitely did that. I know we've mentioned this before on TAWF, was that like I've had casual fan friends or non-wrestling fan friends know who Kenny Omega is just because of the fun, hilarious matches that he had with DDT and all that. So it definitely, people can laugh and enjoy it and love it for what it is. And he's able to do that. He puts a smile on people's faces.
Yeah. The marketing side of things as well with the Bullet Club and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I guess can look at someone like him and the Young Bucks and, getting their shirts sold in Hot Topic. That's pretty big. So I don't know.
Yeah, right. He's done a terrific job with also with Up Up Down Down, like marrying wrestling with video games, and seeing a scene right there that like a lot of people didn't realize there was a decent crossover, and bringing that together. And so I mean, at a time too where it was like, unheard of anyone on outside of the WWE platform getting involved with some of these shows and stuff. Kenny Omega was able to do it with the New Day, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool for them to do that. I think that was just before the Elite left AEW, so it was kind of a mind blowing thing to see them all interact with each other, even you know, even if it was only in a video game, YouTube kind of deal. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was cool to see that. To see other wrestlers from other promotions link up with each other and interact with each other is always very cool to see. So is
yeah,
that all the positive thoughts you guys have on Kenny Omega right now?
Yeah, I think we
yeah.
did
I
pretty
think
good. I think
yeah.
Kenny would
Compared to some of these on the list, I feel like that is an easy one.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel there's a couple I think that are easy, but there's a couple I think, oh man, this is very, very hard. Um so I'll take it maybe on the opposite end of the spectrum here. Uh TJP, say good things about Teddy Perkins.
I think TJP gave other wrestlers, independent wrestlers, hope. And some of his stories, the fact that he was like, man, I can't tell you how many times I've been homeless living in my car, and yet he's been able to make a success of himself. And I think that's a story that a lot of indie guys need to hear and hold on to and grasp, because I know a lot of those guys, they get that and they're like, should I just give up? Should I just give up? But then they can relate to that story and be like, well, look at him and look what he was able to do. I can do it too. So I think in that sort of nature, like that's definitely something of a positive that others can be influenced on.
I think in between the ropes, he is an absolute mastermind of technical wrestling. He's done a lot of shit that I would have never even dreamed of. Some of the combinations, whether it's submissions or chaining moves into other moves, I would have never thought
Yeah.
about that. And some of it is like the most basic and simple moves he knows how to chain together. And I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff when it comes to wrestling, like the chain wrestling and
Oh
um,
yeah.
having counters for things or doing things when you see it happen. You're like, holy shit, that was mind blowing. But when you think about it more, you're like, I can't believe no one else has thought of it. Like he did an Alabama slam on someone, I think in PWG. And then when they were on their back, he took their legs and like stepped through like he was going for a sharpshooter, but he stepped both legs through and used the momentum to flip them back to their feet and then hit a neck breaker. But it looked like it made complete and total sense because like logically, if you step through like that and pulled with all your might on someone's legs to roll them back towards their feet, it's like, oh yeah, that would make sense. You could probably do that. And
Yeah.
he does a lot of stuff where I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe no one else has thought to do that. So I will definitely give him a lot of credit for his technical wrestling acumen.
yeah, he can work. Next.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really even have anything really negative to say about the guy. I know he's got some, I don't know, that negative stigma about him with some shit, but I really don't even know what, to be honest. I know he says some pretty wild shit, huh?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
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 Well, we're being positive, so he's very strong in his opinions.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
very he's
But I
very
don't see. I don't know
outspoken.
too much about that shit, so he can work.
Yeah.
Next one, I'm just pulling from the list I sent you guys at random to keep you guys on your toes. The Young Bucks. I want to get Kaz real involved here now. These next couple.
I mean, the same thing I said about Kenny. They're kind of, at the forefront of that modern wrestling world where I think a lot, and maybe more than Kenny, to be honest, a lot of, younger talent coming up in the wrestling business really look up to those guys. And you can even say they helped revolutionize the wrestling industry in a way. Yeah, I mean, with the whole Bullet Club thing and the marketing of that, and yeah, I mean, that's all I got right now. Give me a sec.
No, I mean, to
I mean,
piggyback off of that, yeah, I agree with you. I think that that's another situation where they're one of the I mean, they're the tag team of independent wrestling where people started to go, hey, maybe I can make a living off of just doing things on my own. And let's take a look at these guys and look how well they were doing. And it's another pretty much rags to riches story. And I know Matt Jackson always says it in his stories of like, we were at, I forget what fast food restaurant, Popeye's Chicken maybe, and he wanted to get a sandwich or something. And Nick had to pay for him because he literally had nothing in his bank account. And, to take basically the influence of Colt Cabana and learn, these guys, they learn and then they apply, and I give them credit, like in their book and stuff, where talking about, they give credit where credit's due. It's not like they're like, hey, we came up with all of this. They're like, no, we were influenced by so-and-so, and, we learned from so-and-so about this and that. And I think that's really cool that they, as much as their characters might have big heads, they seem to be down to earth guys. I don't know them personally, but at least that's how they come off to me. Enough to make a lot of fans, fall in love with them.
I have nothing but wonderful things to say about the Young Bucks.
They're your favorite tag team, right?
They are one of my top 15 tag teams.
Hey, I had to fucking come up with some shit. You got to come up with some shit.
I will say that I will give them a lot of props for their ability to bank on themselves, to get things done themselves. When it came to, AEW and, how they took their career from about, I don't know, the early 2010s or mid 2010s, whenever it was, they decided to really start taking off in PWG, and they parlayed that success into being in New Japan. I give them a lot of credit for, um, you know, just betting on themselves. It's really a DIY success story. It's very much what was it, Progress, that talked about punk rock pro wrestling. That's kind of what this is. At least the beginning part of their story. So I give them a lot of props to that. And I give them a lot of props for having a lot of, I will say, they have some matches that I enjoy. I would dare say classic matches. And I've seen one of the matches in person that they had with, I want to say, Kevin Steen and El Generico in Novi, Michigan for ROH show.
That's awesome.
It was an incredible match, an absolutely fantastic match. This is probably about 11 years ago. I saw this match. It was at not too far from where I live now, the Suburban Showcase or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, and yes,
yeah. Same card as the Austin Aries Davey Richards match, who are two names that we could definitely put on this
list. Yeah, there's definitely one on that. Yeah, both of those guys we can say positive things about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Bucks, I will say that they are very steadfast in their beliefs and how they want to run things and do things. So I give them a lot of props for that.
I mean, look where they're at now, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they started
right.
from the bottom. Now
they had a ridiculous offer for WWE. I think from their autobiography, I could be getting my numbers mixed up, but I want to say they were offered something like $500,000 to sign to WWE, It's like $500,000, man, like for a tag team. That's just crazy. And that's like each. It wasn't, hey, we'll give you guys both 500, and so it's split it. And to say no, to say thank you, we respect that, and this is no disrespect, but we're gonna say no and go this other route, and it's working out for them.
They were gonna back up the Brinks truck to like all the elite
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Like all the elite guys, they were gonna get deals, big money deals, and then they were gonna make Adam Page the top guy in NXT pretty much. Like they had a plan for each guy, and then they had some crazy opt-out clause where they could get out of the contract that for any reason in like the
Yeah.
first 6 months or some crazy shit like
Yeah,
that.
right. Isn't that crazy? Like, yeah, you keep some of the money or whatever, and just some clauses you've never even heard about in wrestling
what
contracts.
other wrestler has ever gotten a contract like that?
Where you can just get out of the contract for whatever you want.
So that says something about the brand that they built for themselves.
Exactly.
That's all I got. Fuck them. Sorry, that's like.
Next, we've got. I want to pull from this list because Kaz, you've definitely had some opinions about this person and how they have contributed greatly to what we've deemed the kick-out problem in pro wrestling. And that is one John Gargano of Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, well, I mean, he's a fantastic worker. He's proved that, his whole time in NXT and everywhere else he's been. I mean, he's a great wrestler, tremendous wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the negative connotation on him?
Oh, I get to say negative stuff? This is crazy.
I mean,
well, if I get immunity to say negative stuff, the way he seems corny. Like as a person, he seems pretty corny.
Definitely.
I mean, this is obviously just based on like seeing him on television. He might be a fucking hilarious stand-up guy in real life. I don't know, but I've never met the guy. But just how he comes across on TV seems just like super corny. Like
he's good at doing wrestling moves.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah. But back to saying the positive stuff, I will say that he is the bee's knees. He's the cat's pajamas. He's the whole shebang.
This is really hard.
I mean, I think that he is a baby face. I think, which is weird because before he got to WWE, his whole thing was like being a heel. Everyone thought he was like an amazing heel. People said that he kind of sucked as a face when he left the Indies. But when he got to WWE, I feel like Johnny Gargano could have really been like that Ricky Steamboat lifelong babyface. I also felt that way about Bayley and Sami Zayn, and they ended up turning into fantastic heels. I don't necessarily feel that way about Johnny Gargano with this heel turn. Of course, they changed his character drastically from when he first turned heel because I thought he was going to be kind of like this ruthless, heartless killer, which is kind of what Finn ended up becoming when he went back to NXT. And so I think maybe they felt like, both those characters would be a little too similar. So maybe they had him go more the comedic route as a heel. I have no basis on that. That's just a off the wall theory that I'm throwing out there. But I feel like Gargano might have had more legs as a more serious heel. But in any regard, I think he's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
I think he's a great baby face. He's got a lot of cool moves. He's got a cool theme song. I think his NXT takeover gear is typically pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's got a good looking wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good looking couple, man.
Yeah.
They're
great looking couple.
They seem to have a great relationship with each other too. So
if they decide to have kids one day, I'm sure the kids
Yeah,
will
beautiful
be
kids.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
He's a loyal football fan because he roots for the Cleveland Browns.
He loves comic
Oh
books.
man.
Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with comic books.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
He's got
there you go.
he's got a cool white jacket.
Yeah.
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 There we
All
go.
right.
John, what
Yeah.
do you got?
I mean, I don't have much else to say. I do. I think he's a great wrestler, and I think he's when he's a babyface, like he's a terrific babyface. He's like,
He
you
is.
can't say that about a lot of wrestlers, but you can say that about him. He's one of those that, to me anyway, obviously my opinion, that I feel that him as a heel never works for me because he's such a good baby face, and it's so hard for people to be good baby faces. Like some of it just seems so like cheesy or trying too hard, or playing the anti-hero baby face, which is a weird concept kind of too. But he just, I don't know, he fits it well. Like you see the guy and it's like, I could be friends with him. Yeah. So he's a likable dude. And also, yeah, going back on a relationship that's very hard for a lot of people. It's not very successful for a lot of people when both are performers. And so I mean, that's something to look up to, and that's something to respect, and that's wonderful that they can continue to have their relationship, and it can show. It's a great example of a relationship in the wrestling world, that hey, these things can be successful. And I hope I just didn't doom it by saying that, and then next week we're going to find out that they're split up.
Last thing I will say about Johnny Gargano, he obviously has game with the ladies. He was able to get a older lady, so respect to him. She's like a year older, if
Yeah.
that. I was just trying to give him more props.
I think we said a lot of positive things about him.
Yeah, I think
That felt good. That felt good.
Yeah.
I think we've said the most positive things about Johnny Gargano.
That's like a genuine one. Like that's I don't have to think too much outside of that one.
So this next one, I've said positive things about them on the show a great deal. And then before the biggest wrestling win of their career, it came out that they're a really awful person. So I felt really bad about saying good things about this person for what felt like many years, that I wanted them to get signed by WWE and really revolutionize the wrestling world. Tessa Blanchard. Oh, God damn it. This is going to be tough for me.
From what it sounds like, she has a good diet and fiber.
Yeah.
Great taste in men. Great taste in men.
Yeah.
Daga and Ricochet, both very handsome guys.
Yeah.
She's one of, the best female wrestlers in the game, I would say.
Yeah. I think she's pretty good. Really good. I think that she has a really good grasp on looking like a seasoned vet, despite not have been wrestling that long. She has a lot of little things that I'm a big fan of. I know one thing that I praised quite a bit on the show a while back was in the Gail Kim match that she had probably 2 years ago, I think now, where instead of doing the, oh my God, I can't believe they kicked out of my finisher thing, she immediately just got right back on her and went for the kill and got a submission win, which is something that I wish more wrestlers did. Instead of like, oh my God, I know no other wrestling moves. I'm just gonna choke this bitch out and that's a wrap. Like I thought that was very cool, and I wish more wrestlers did that. Again, I think her ability in between the ropes is fantastic. I hope that she can get her act together, because I believe that she's got a lot of potential to be a real big star. I want to say that she is young enough and a decent enough person to correct the mistakes of her past and put herself in a better light and give herself more credibility and accountability with those in the wrestling world. And I believe that she's young enough to bounce back from this.
Yeah, I have hope. Same, right?
Mhm.
That's definitely something that I think you can look back on, and you can fix yourself with those situations, and she has potential to do that. And I mean, everything we've already said, she's a good wrestler.
Good wrestler.
She's got good taste in theme songs, because I played one of her theme songs last week on the audio version of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her song, which is kind of wacky that
No
would be
way.
her song.
Yeah, man.
Things that she may or may not have said in her personal life.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about her taking a dump?
Is that her? Can anyone confirm that that's her?
That's what I was gonna ask. I don't think anyone's actually confirmed that is her taking a shit and speaking very sexual about taking a shit to a guy.
She sounds like she is going to, if that is her, she sounds like she is going to burst out laughing the entire time, because the stuff that she was saying, to like try to be quote unquote sexy, it sounds so silly. She's like,
are you getting hard?
Rubbing your little balls or whatever she says. Like,
again, that is allegedly her. I have no clue.
Kink shaming, that's
no, it's all good,
thing, right?
It's all good.
If that's what she's willing to record, she must be a good, positive, significant other, I guess.
I was gonna say, follow-up question: who was she sending that to?
I don't
maybe
know.
It was a cameo.
Like, was she sending that to like Ricochet?
Maybe.
What's the timeline on that? I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions about that. Again, no kink shaming. I'm just curious. Like, did someone pay you to do that?
Wasn't Ricochet into some kinky shit?
Oh, yeah. Well,
depends on your definition of kinky, I guess.
What
right?
was it again? I forget. I'm being honest. I really do forget.
He's jerking off and put a finger in his butt.
That's right.
Mere child's play. Mere child's play.
Yeah,
that's nothing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
It just depends, like I said, on your definition of kinky, right? So,
boy, well, if the wrestling career doesn't work out for her, she's got something else lined up.
Yeah, I mean, heck, could probably be successful with, like I said, Cameo or OnlyFans or Patreon.
You'd be surprised how many fucking people would probably pay to watch her take a fucking shit.
Yeah, right.
I mean, she'd probably make buku bucks.
Yeah.
Shit. No pun intended. Yeah, man.
We can move on.
Yes. We talked about fecal matter enough. Although this next person, you might compare him to fecal matter. I know a lot of people in the wrestling world would, because a lot of people don't like him. Not actually a wrestler, more of a personality. He's number one on the list I sent over. Dave Meltzer of Oakland.
Yeah. I think it's easy to say something positive about Dave. Let's face it. He kind of revolutionized wrestling journalism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's one of those up there that I would say. If you had to think of guys that have brought some sort of legitimacy to the current atmosphere of wrestling, then you definitely would say Meltz was. Because I mean, you can argue that, well, professional wrestling actually used to be covered in the newspapers, and there would be interviews and stuff with the guys, but it felt like Meltzer was one of those guys at a time when it was really starting, the curtain's starting to get pulled back. And I mean, you can argue when that really happened, but like, I don't know. People just kind of were in on it, and they wanted more, and so like they got more from him. He kind of did a mix of I don't want to say like gonzo journalism, but he also was reporting on stuff that like a lot of other people wouldn't have, or he's made a healthy living off of it.
I mean, he is he one of the guys who really started the whole dirt sheet thing, as far as like exposing the business in a way, I guess.
He wasn't the first person to do it, but I would say in the last 40 years, he's the most prominent person to really pull the curtain back, so to speak, and make connections within the wrestling world, and get fed intel about things that were going on. And of course, wrestlers hating people knowing what's going on, because it's kind of the whole purpose of being a wrestler, so people don't know if it's real or fake. Of course, the older wrestlers tend to hate him. Uh, some younger wrestlers seem to dislike him when he
Yeah.
says some out of pocket things.
See, I
But
don't
Yeah,
think
right.
his goal was to ever hurt the business in what he was doing, because he is one of the more knowledgeable dudes as far as wrestling like history goes. I would say he knows his shit. I don't
Yeah.
think his goal was to set out to like destroy the business with all the insider shit. Um, like you said, a lot of the boys don't like him because he kind of sort of did that, I guess. But I know someone like a Jim Cornette who doesn't like him anymore, but actually really liked Dave and what he did, which is kind of weird to think, because Jim Cornette is so, or was, so protective of the wrestling business and not exposing it and shit.
I think maybe up until the last few years when they had their falling out, I feel like Cornette, I think he felt like Dave maybe in some ways really respected the business despite writing about what was
Yeah,
going on behind the
exactly,
scenes.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and I think they're around the same age too, so I think that helps a little bit. When Meltzer was coming up, and Meltzer was coming up, they're both really young in the early '80s, so I think uh, Cornette probably got it a little bit more back then. Like he understood what Meltzer was doing,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny to say now, because Cornette's whole thing is sometimes talking about things that he pretends that he doesn't get, but I know he gets it because
Yeah.
he's been in wrestling for fucking 40 something years. He gets all of this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably
Absolutely.
understands everything that's going on. He knows where his bread's buttered though.
Yeah.
We've
Right.
Now,
talked about this enough, so
what do you guys feel about the star rating system? Again, that apparently, not to talk about Jim Cornette a bunch, but apparently Jim Cornette and his buddy actually came up with that or something like that.
so I thought it was a 4-star system.
Yeah, they
That
based it off of like TV Guide or something.
Yeah. Right.
uh,
That makes sense.
and then the 5th star came from that there
There was a match.
yeah, there was
Yeah,
a
it was like
match,
Lawler Funk, like
and it was
cafeteria brawl or some shit, something like
it,
that.
yeah, and so I think someone said if there is a 5th star, I'd give it that, something like
Mm.
along those lines, and that's where the 5-star system came from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. I think Dave has introduced a lot of US wrestling fans to other areas of wrestling that they normally wouldn't have checked out.
that's a good
I
point. That's a real good point.
I know I myself did not know anything about Japanese wrestling until I would hear stuff from Dave Meltzer, or through the words, playing telephone or whatnot of oh yeah, Meltzer was talking about this, and then finding out about these things, and then going, oh wow, there's a young me going, there's Japanese wrestling, there's wrestling in Japan, no way, and wanting to trade tapes and all that. And so yeah, it definitely I feel got a lot of other fans to look outside of the WWF box in the US, or even at that time, NWA, WCW. So yeah, I definitely think I think he's had a positive impact on wrestling as
I
a whole.
agree.
he's got a great physique, and he's a good wrestling historian.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude's definitely an advocate for like training and exercise, man. Well, one of the most ripped journalists I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's very ripped. Dude definitely, like you said, knows his way around some weights. And I know we've got this long list of people that I wrote on there, but there's one more person I want to get to
I
before we
think I
wrap
know.
this up. You think you know? You
I
want to put
think I know.
$5 on it?
No, I'm not a betting man.
I'm not a betting. The last person that I want to talk about is not Hulk Hogan.
Okay, I owe you $5.
I know I put Hogan on the list, and I know you figured that I might force myself to say something nice about him, but I'm not. I'm on.
Not even gonna do it.
Nah.
What about Terry? That's even worse, huh?
Yeah, Terry's even worse.
Yeah,
Hulk,
man.
Hulk, you can at least say he's got a great tan and a big cock. So
Yeah.
the last person I want to say something positive about is the fabulous Moolah. So I'll let you guys go first.
That was my second guess. Oh man. If you watch the Dark Side of the Ring, her episode of it, there were quite a few women on there, despite the situations that had happened, that still said that they thanked her for what she did for them, and in some ways for women's wrestling. And I don't think that that's so much of a the name's escaping me, when the victim kind of falls in love with their
Stockholm
kidnapper.
syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I don't think that that's so much like that, but trying to, and like what we're doing with this episode, trying to find a positive in a situation like that. And I do think that that is one good positive thing that came about, that was the fact that some of these female wrestlers, some of these women wrestlers still had positive things to say about what she did for their career. And that in turn, I feel, makes you realize that there is positivity and that there is hope in the world. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, especially coming from wrestling, but when that's your whole livelihood, and the messed up stuff that you see and you experience with that, and yet you can still see a positive outspin on that, I mean, I give it to you. That's awesome, because there's a lot of people that you can just be negative about it, and you can just hate on her and hate what she did. But the fact that people were able to grow from it, and to recognize that pain and use it in a positive way, is really awesome.
Go ahead, Cass. What do you got?
I don't know. I mean, she was a woman, involved in coming up in a man's world as far as wrestling goes, I guess,
Mhm.
right? And I don't know. I don't know. What John said was beautiful.
Yeah.
You really can't top that. How the fuck do I top what John just said?
I know, man. That was beautiful.
Sorry.
Like, that was like,
Sorry.
Did you write that?
No, I just I thought that was the one thing that I thought about with Fabulous Moolah when I saw the list.
Now,
It's like there was two people that I thought we were going to talk about, Moolah and Hulk.
The negative things, and I know we're trying to be positive, but the story is what? She was pimping out the girls or some shit, basically.
Yeah, and some situations just basically stealing money, other situations even worse. Yeah.
Total politician. Those are some
Yeah.
other ones. She allegedly ruined Mad Maxine's career, and took her spot on Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. The shooting on, who did she shoot on? Was it Wendy Richter?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the mask.
Yeah, Spider Lady.
Spider Lady. Yeah.
Yeah. But John, what you said, man, is
It was
so
fucking
poetic.
It was.
And I think it's gonna top what I was gonna say. I mean, I'm sure you guys can imagine what I was gonna say, right?
No.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say the positive thing about the fabulous Moolah is that she's dead.
Tuck your chin, brother.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.